Economists in ivory towers report that the current recession actually began back in 2007, and they won't be able to tell us when it ended for at least half a year after it does. On today's South Sound Business Report, we'll talk about how to maintain our sanity while we wait for recovery. Coming up next. Welcome to the show. I'm Jeff Rounce.
And I'm Emily West. Just about everyone in every nation is experiencing the impacts of a global slowdown. Some argue that the negative effects on business and consumer behavior are magnified by our society's tendency to concentrate on bad news. With instant communication tools at our fingertips, news sure travels fast. And while we are constantly bombarded with news of economic struggles, our guests today remind us that it's important to business recovery to also focus on the good news in our communities.
On today's program, the sun still shines. We'll be talking with some local folks about the power of positive attitudes in the face of bad news.
Looking for good news. One local design, construction, and impression firm gathers and shares some positive items. Jeff Brown joins us to explain why.
A vitality index. A professor and the leader of a business organization share research findings on the local Thurston County marketplace and public confidence. But first, we welcome Shari Campbell, a vice president and one of the owners at the Tacoma Advertising and Communications Consultancy known as JayRay. Shari, you've got a lot of experience in communications, and that would be the power of words and conveying images to really communicate a meaning, a message is what your world is. When we talk about what some are calling this financial Armageddon, this economy that we're suffering through, do we harm ourselves as a society or even as individuals by focusing on the bad news?
Well, I'm an eternal optimist. I'm always the glass half full kind of person, so I think we do. And I think, you know, what we have in this economy, and I don't want to simplify it, but we kind of had a perfect storm of situations. So I think we can certainly look at those bad things that are happening in the economy, but it seems like to me for every bad thing, I can look at something new, something positive, and even in our local economy, there's several businesses we work with that I'm just surprised how well they're doing. So I think there certainly is the downside, but we like to look at the positive side of what's going on.
Now again, establishing your credentials, because you've worked on behalf of companies and organizations in the South Sound for so many years, I know that you believe in the truth, and I know that you're not advocating that we turn a blind eye to what the reality might be.
I think it's keeping it in balance, keep it in perspective. You know, with a lot of our clients, they have less money, of course, and so they have to be more thoughtful and strategic. We're seeing more clients spend money and time on strategy. So I think when everything's humming along wonderfully and you have plenty of cash, maybe you don't take the time to be as thoughtful. So I think one really positive thing in this economy is people are taking a step back and say, let's spend a little bit more time on strategy. I think that's a good thing. I think people are being little bit more thoughtful about research. And so I think in the communications, advertising, public relations field, when people are more thoughtful, when they really look at it and how they support a business and really use good, solid business principles, I think that's a good change for us. I also think that you have to be a realist. And if you don't have the budget, then how can you be more creative in the way you use the budget? And I think that what we've also seen in other economic, downturns is that the companies that continue to do what they know is best to do, so to continue to market, to continue to follow their business plan, those are the ones that come out the other side doing better. So, you know, it's finding that balance.
Because your business is helping companies communicate a message, clearly at the fundamental level you have to believe that a message has power then.
Oh, for sure.
So the message that we can tell ourselves now, taking the half full analogy, and talk about what is still going on and not spend all of our time on what isn't currently happening, can that bring power to our community?
I certainly think so. You know, if we look at some businesses locally, you know, I'm just going to give a couple of quick examples. Site crafting. web development company. It's going great guns. So
they're expanding.
They're expanding, yeah. So I think, you know, that's a business that you could say, oh, there's less money out there, and yet here's a great business story, people that are doing good work and expanding. Another business, and we do a lot of work in healthcare, and you could say, well, healthcare, you know, that's, you know, immune to the recession. It's not. There's less people with insurance. They've certainly had some challenges in the healthcare industry, and that yet Franciscan opened up St. Anthony Hospital. They've been busier, so all their numbers are ahead of their projection. I'm also amazed at the talent they brought out here. So I mean, that's a good message, and I think they didn't focus. You know, when we get to the message core, they didn't say, oh my gosh, we're opening up in this bad economy. They kept on plan, they kept on message, and they kept doing what they thought was the right thing to do, and it's worked out really well for them.
Well, let's go back and talk about the media then. Are they the culprits? Tell me how much in touch Shari Campbell is. You turned off your cell phone before we began the interview. Are you
it was
always,
tough for me.
Are you always online?
A lot. I mean, I think it gets hard. We are bombarded with messages. You know, I think the media certainly is one component, but we as consumers, we want the information. You know, we go to blogs, we Twitter. I mean, you know, there's all sorts of ways to get messages and to get words out there. And I certainly am connected a lot. But again, I think my general, and you know, what we try to tell clients as well is, you know, the message can be one of gloom and doom, or it can be one of, here's the good things about our business, here's the good things about our company, here's what's happening, and how can we reframe it? And I think that just works in general in life.
And we're going to feel better when we're hearing those messages too.
Yeah, definitely.
Appreciate sharing your views, Shari Campbell. Up next, Emily visits with an architect who also feels called to help the rest of us design our present and our future realities. It starts with seeing our glasses being half full. Stay with us.
Business success is not just about the competition, it's about being on the leading edge of your changing market. Enter the Business Examiner, your award-winning source for local business news, information, and data. In-depth stories, business trends, and market conditions for your industry in print and online. Get the free BE Daily business news delivered to your email every weekday afternoon. Stay on the leading edge for your market and subscribe at businessexaminer.com. The Business Examiner, your South Sound business information resource.